You know, I've been on this earth a long time, man. I done seen a whole lot, heard a whole lot, been through a whole lot. But let me tell y'all something. Every now and then, life got a funny way of humbling you. See, I done had conversations with everybody you can imagine. Preachers, hustlers, comedians, CEOs, fighters, scientists, atheists, monks, you name it. I've sat across from some of the smartest, wildest, most spiritual people you'll ever meet. I done heard stories about life and death, energy and consciousness, all that stuff that make you scratch your head and go, now hold on a minute. But this time, man, I wasn't ready. What happened to me recently, it shook me up. Not like a scare, not like some ghost in the dark, nah. It shook me spiritually. It made me look at my own life, my own death, my own purpose, and say, Steve, you might have been missing something big. See, I started studying Islam. Not them headlines, not the noise. I ain't talking about what the media throw at you every other day. I mean, really studying it, reading the Quran, listening to scholars, talking to real Muslim folks who live it, who breathe it, who walk it. And man, let me tell you, I was not ready for what I found. Now, I used to think Islam was just another religion, just another belief system folks follow. You know, some prayers, some rules, maybe a few rituals here and there. But when I got down into it, man, when I started to feel what them verses were saying, when I started to see how them people live, something in me shifted. See, Islam don't play around with purpose. It don't sugarcoat it. It ain't vague about why you're here. It looks you dead in the eye and says you were created for a reason. You ain't some cosmic accident. You ain't just a pile of atoms floating through space. You were made intentionally by the Creator. Now that right there hit me hard, man, because in this world we living in, everything's a joke, everything's entertainment. We scrolling our way through depression, laughing our way through emptiness, and then here comes Islam saying, nah, brother, you matter. Every second of your life means something. You're accountable. You ain't alone. Who? Now, I remember sitting there one night and I came across a verse that said something like, blessed is the one who holds all dominion, the one who created life and death to test which of you is best in deeds. Man, I had to close that book for a second. I said, hold up. You mean death and life are both part of the test? Not chaos, not some random game, not the end, a test. And when that hit me, boy, I just sat there quiet. See, I used to think about death all kinds of ways. Either it was nothing, or it was some mystery loop where your consciousness just float off somewhere. But Islam says, no, no, no. Death ain't the end, man. It's a doorway, a doorway. You don't run from it like a fool. You prepare for it like a traveler. You pack right, you stay ready, you keep your soul clean because you know what's coming next. Ain't no accident. And I looked at Muslims, these folks who pray 5 times a day, fast whole months, give away their money like their soul depend on it, and I realized something. These people ain't just talking. They living like they believe it. And I had to ask myself, Steve, if you really believed you was gonna stand before God one day, would you still be living like this? And man, that answer stung. I wouldn't. See, I used to think submitting to God was weakness, like you letting go of control. But nah, Islam flipped that whole idea on me. It showed me that real submission, that's not weakness, that's wisdom. That's like jujitsu for the soul. See, you don't fight the truth, you flow with it. You don't try to twist reality into your shape. You shape yourself to match the truth. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, man, I've been wrestling life wrong this whole time. Islam ain't about making you a robot. It's about making you human. And once you line yourself up with the truth, with the one who made you, boy, you stop fearing everything. You stop fearing death. You stop fearing life. You stop fearing people because you know who's in charge. Now, one day I met this brother from the Bronx. Man had a wild story. He told me he used to run the streets doing all kind of dirt. And then he found Islam. He looked me dead in the eye and said, Steve, I used to think freedom meant doing whatever I wanted. But real freedom is when you ain't a slave to your own desires no more. Boy, that hit me deep. He said, I started living for something bigger than me. I stopped fearing death because I finally know where I'm headed. Now, when you hear one man say that, you think, all right, that's deep. But when you hear hundreds of people say it, different colors, different languages, all with the same peace in their eyes, you start thinking maybe they on to something. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I ain't saying I'm a Muslim. I'm still learning, still asking questions. But one thing I know for sure, Islam changed the way I see death. And if it changes how you see death, it's gonna change how you see life. So after that night, I couldn't shake it. I'm sitting there mind racing, heart pounding, like, man, what if this is it? What if I've been missing the real point this whole time? And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I ain't the type to just jump into something because it sounds poetic. Nah, man, I done lived long enough to know talk is cheap. I wanted to see it. I wanted to feel it in people. So I started hanging around Muslims. I sat with them, talked to them, ate with them. And let me tell you, them folks got a kind of peace that's hard to explain. You ever met somebody who ain't got nothing flashy, not rich, not chasing clout, not trying to impress nobody, but they walk into a room and you feel calm? That's what I saw. That's what I felt. And I said, hold up. How y'all walking around like that in this crazy world? Everybody losing their minds, stressing, hustling, scrolling, complaining, and you sitting there looking like you already home. And this brother smiled and said, because Steve, when you bow your head 5 times a day, you remember who's really in charge. Whew. See, that right there stopped me cold. I said, wait, you mean you stop your whole day 5 times just to talk to God? He said, yeah, because the world makes too much noise. You got to stop and reset your soul. And man, that hit me because I've been in Hollywood. I've been in comedy clubs. I've been in business meetings. I've been on TV shows. Ain't nobody ever told me to stop and remember God like that. Everybody say, keep going, Steve. Hustle harder. Grind more. Stay hungry. But nobody say, hey, man, your soul's starving. And them Muslims, man, they don't just pray when they need something. They pray because they love him. They pray because they need that peace. And that's what started getting to me. I remember one day I was talking to this young guy from Chicago. Real cool cat, maybe mid-20s. I said, man, you young, got dreams, got energy. How you not caught up in all this chaos? He said, because, Mr. Harvey, Islam gives me discipline. It tells me how to treat people, how to treat myself, how to think, how to control my ego. Now, let me tell you something, man. I done seen a whole lot of folks crash and burn because of ego. Talent can take you to the top, but ego can drop you like a rock. And here was this young man speaking like an old soul, saying Islam taught him to control that beast. He said, you can't find peace if you worship yourself. Boy, that line right there could have been in Proverbs. It could have been on a t-shirt. It could have been on stage, but it came from a Muslim brother who meant it. And you know what? I realize Islam ain't some cold, distant religion. It's a mirror. It shows you who you really are. It don't care what you post online, don't care what your title is, how much money you got, how many followers you collecting. It just asks, what's your heart like? Who you thanking every morning? Who you turn to when the lights go out? Man, that's deep. And I'll tell you something else I learned that messed me up, accountability. See, in Islam, they got this word, taqwa. It means God consciousness, like you walk through life knowing God is watching, not to scare you, but to guide you. Now imagine living every moment like that, not paranoid, not guilty, just aware. Like I can't lie to this man because God see me. I can't hurt that woman because God hear her cry. I can't take what ain't mine because he already know. You live like that long enough, you don't even need no security cameras. You become your own God. And I said to myself, man, that's what's missing out here. We got laws, we got courts, we got social media exposés, but ain't nobody God in their own soul no more. And then I heard a verse from the Quran that said, indeed, with hardship comes ease. And that's when I broke, man. That's when I felt it. See, I've been through some storms in my life, poverty, rejection, heartbreak, humiliation, you name it. And all them times I used to think God was punishing me. But Islam said, no, brother, he's preparing you. When I heard that, I swear it was like somebody lifted a weight off my chest, like somebody finally explained the math behind the pain. You ever been through something so dark you didn't even know if you'd make it out? But then years later, you look back and realize that was the best thing that ever happened to you. That's what Islam be teaching. Your pain ain't random, your tears got purpose. And if you hold on tight, God gonna bring you out better, not bitter. Now look, I'm a man who been blessed beyond measure. I done seen success most folks only dream about, but let me tell you something. All the fame, all the money, all the applause, it don't fill that space inside you. That space only got one key, and it's spiritual. And when I saw Muslims bow down, forehead on the ground, I ain't gonna lie, the first time I saw it, I was like, man, that's a lot. But then I started to understand that's real humility. That's saying, God, I came from dust, and I'm gonna return to dust. But while I'm here, I'm yours. You do that 5 times a day, man, it changed you. It cleaned your heart out. And I'm telling you, I seen gangsters turn gentle. I seen addicts sober up. I seen prideful men start crying like babies in prayer, not because they weak, because they finally free. Islam don't take away your strength. It refines it. It makes you a lion, but one that bows before the king. Now, here's the wildest part, man. I was sitting with this old Muslim scholar one evening, and I said, sir, what's the secret to peace? He smiled and said, stop trying to control what you never own. Man, I damn near stood up and clapped. He said, you don't own your life, Steve. You don't own tomorrow. You don't own your breath. You don't even own the people you love. They all belong to God, just like you. When you stop fighting that truth, that's when peace finally finds you. And I thought, man, that's it. That's why people running themselves crazy trying to control everything they can't keep. Islam don't tell you to give up. It just tells you to trust the one who's really in charge. To work, to strive, to love, but always with your heart surrendered to God. And once you do that, death don't scare you no more, because death ain't the end. It's just a reunion. It's going back home to the one who sent you out here in the first place. That thought right there, that's the peace that kept me up at night. Not the kind that makes you restless, the kind that makes you awake. You start walking different, talking different. You stop complaining about little stuff. Traffic don't bother you. Haters don't faze you. You just smile and say, God's plan's still rolling. And that, my friends, that's when I realized Islam ain't just about rules. It's about release. You release that ego, release that anxiety, release that need to be right, and you start breathing peace you didn't even know existed. You know, I've been thinking a lot lately about life, about death, about what it all means when the lights finally go out. And I realized something, man. Most people ain't scared of death because of death itself. They scared because they ain't ready. And I ain't talking about money in the bank or a house in your name. I'm talking about your soul. When it's your time and you look back at that movie or your life, what's going to play? See, Islam hit me hard on that part. It said every breath you take, every word you speak, every choice you make, it all gets written down. Ain't nothing wasted, ain't nothing unseen. And that humbled me, man. Because I done said some things in anger. I done hurt people without meaning to. I done chased stuff that didn't even matter when I got it. And when you sit with yourself long enough and you realize God saw all that but still gave you another sunrise, boy, you start crying in gratitude. See, in this world, folks talk about karma. But Islam said it's not karma, it's mercy. You don't get what you deserve, you get what God's mercy allows. And that right there, man, that's hope. Because I know I ain't perfect. I'm just a man trying to do right, trying to get it right before my time's up. And when I see how Islam teaches repentance, how you can fall down 1,000 times, but if you turn back with a sincere heart, God still forgives you. That right there, that's a love this world can't offer. Now let me tell you something, man. You don't realize how fast life goes till you start losing people. You hit that age where funerals start outnumbering weddings. And I done buried friends, I done lost family, I done cried behind closed doors when the cameras wasn't rolling. And through all that, I used to ask, why, God? Why take them? But Islam flipped that question for me. It said, don't ask why he took them. Ask what he's trying to teach you while you're still here. Man, that's a whole different way to look at life. See, Muslims believe the soul don't die, it just moves. It passes on to a world unseen, where every truth finally unfolds. And when I sat with that idea, I stopped looking at death like a thief in the night. I started looking at it like a messenger, like it's saying, hey man, time's short, fix what you can. Love who you got. Pray while your knees still bend. Woo. And I think that's what Islam did for me. It made me aware of time. It made me realize every second is sacred. You don't get to rewind. You don't get to edit the tape. This ain't no rehearsal. This is the show. And when that clock stops, you better hope your heart got more gratitude than greed, more faith than fear. Now, I know some folks gonna say, oh, Steve done gone religious now. He talking like a preacher. But let me tell you, I ain't preaching. I'm just testifying. I'm telling y'all what's been put on my heart. Because look, I done chased money, I done chased fame, I done chased validation. Ain't none of it last. Every time you get something new, the world just moved the finish line further down. But that peace I found listening to them words from the Quran, that don't fade, that don't depend on followers or ratings. That's peace you can take to the grave. And let me be real with y'all. If there's one thing Islam taught me that I'll never forget is this. This life is temporary, but what you build for the next one is forever. Now that line right there, it'll change how you wake up in the morning. It'll change how you talk to your kids, how you treat your spouse, how you handle your enemies. You stop asking, how much can I get? And you start asking, how much can I give before I go? Because at the end of the day, man, nobody remember your cars or your shoes. They remember how you made them feel. They remember your smile, your kindness, your honesty. That's what lives on. That's the stuff that echo after you gone. And I think that's what God wants from all of us, to leave this world a little softer than we found it, to leave people better, not bitter. Now let me share this little story before I close. I met this older mom one day in Atlanta. Brother had a white beard, soft eyes, spoke with this quiet strength. And I asked him, sir, what do you think the purpose of life is? For real, he smiled and said, son, the purpose of life is to die with a clean heart. I said, what you mean? He said, you could spend your whole life building mountains of success, but if your heart full of hate, envy, or pride, you die empty. But if you forgive, if you let go, if you remember God more than you remember your pain, you die rich. Man, that line broke me. You die rich, not with dollars, but with peace. And ain't that what we all been chasing this whole time? So now every time I wake up, I just whisper, thank you, Lord, you gave me one more shot. And when I go to bed, I whisper again, forgive me, Lord, I fell short again. That rhythm, that gratitude, that's what keeps my soul alive now. Islam didn't make me a different person overnight, but it made me a better thinker. It made me stop running from truth. It made me ask real questions about my heart, my ego, my legacy, and more than anything, it made me unafraid of death. See, when you believe in a creator who's merciful, who knows every tear you ever cried, who forgives before you even finish your apology, then death ain't no monster. It's just a meeting. It's going back to the one who loved you first. And man, that thought right there, that's the kind of peace money can't buy. So yeah, Islam changed how I see life and death. It made me realize that everything I was scared to lose was never really mine in the first place. And that everything I've been looking for, peace, purpose, forgiveness, was right there all along, waiting for me to slow down and bow my head. So if you ever find yourself lost, if you ever feel empty, if you ever look up at the ceiling at 3 a.m. and wonder what this all means, let me tell you something, man. Start with gratitude. Start with humility.